Welcome to the party. I'm not here right now, but I want you to listen very carefully. These guys are very funny, so pay attention. Enough talk. It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name's Steve and my co-host is Pete.
Hello.
This episode we are talking about the 1989 film Tango and Cash as part 3 of our salute to Trilology, Kurt Russellology.
Catastrophe.
Catastrophe.
It's just a 3. That's what it should have been called.
A 3. Anyway, part 3 of our films following the career of Kurt Russell. And some things I want to come on to talk about that since we're talking about Kurt Russell.
Okay.
And the other star of the film is, of course, Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
This year, this 1989, or within sort of 5 years, it seems like a magical period, I think, of action films in general.
Okay.
We seem to have done a lot around this area,
I think 87 to 91 is our sweet spot.
I don't know why. I think after that period they went away, and then they've come back again with things like probably 6, 7 years with like Expendables and all of the Jerry action, as I like to call it, starting with Taken right through to Die Hard coming back and Arnie coming back. Yeah, but they've had like a quiet period.
The Red films as well kind of fit into that.
Yes, of course. So it went through this whole kind of, this was the golden era, and then we thought, well, that's it, we're done, and then suddenly we've got a resurgence of Jerry action again. So I'm never going to get tired of saying that anyway.
No,
So
I can tell.
It's lovely.
You're nearly as keen on saying that as Jack Palance is as saying Tango and Cash, Cash and Tango.
Cash, Tango and Cash. Nice rat. Anyway, go on to that.
Yeah.
His kind of Kirk way of talking. James T. Kirk way of talking. So, this is an interesting film for lots of reasons. And I think the weirdest thing is that it starts with Sylvester Stallone, and we see him as this cop who's taking down a tanker by himself that's gone over borders. But straight away I noticed a few things. He was impeccably clean shaven, not just, he's got stubble. No, he hasn't. Everything's gone. It's like,
I think it's kind of, this is, 2 years after Lethal Weapon. So I think it's buddy cops. But they don't, right, they need to be different. How can they be different? Right, hang on. Suits, glasses, clean shaven, short hair, stock market. Hang on a moment. Stubble, mullet. Other things.
Well, they had old black cop and guy with scruffy hair. Yeah. Now they've got clean shaven cop, scruffy guy with long hair.
See, and don't forget, originally, I think this is the third time we've mentioned this, but Kurt Russell's part was originally going to be played by Patrick Swayze. Yeah,
which fits as well. But I mean, this is a very atypical role, I'd say, for Stallone, because he was very stiff. He was very clean shaven. He's speaking very clearly. People make fun of him.
I know what you mean. He was. Yeah, you'd expect him to be in the other part, really.
Yeah. So we see that as Tango, Ray Tango,
Gabriel Cash.
Gabriel Cash. Anyway, so Ray takes down this tanker, and the guy flies through the window, and it's all very exciting. But then we get to meet his boss. Now, did you recognise who his boss was? The captain.
Which?
Ray Tango's captain.
Jeffrey Lewis.
Yes, and of course he recently passed away.
And Robert Zadar, who's the guy who comes out the window of the lorry and who's then in the prison, he died 2 weeks ago, and Jeffrey Lewis died last week. So I was like, oh, this is quite. In the first 2 minutes, we've seen 2 people who've passed away in the last month.
And there's more in the film. Yeah. But since you mentioned him, the guy with the massive jaw who they call Conan a few times, Robert Zadar. Do you know what his real name is?
No.
Oh, okay. Bit of trivia here for you folks. His real name is Robert Zdarsky. No, possibly a distant relation of Chip to Zdarsky.
Oh, and he's got a friend called Robert Zahutch.
Stop it. No, he's probably not related to Chip Zdarsky. But then again, how many Zdarskys are there?
If he was, need to find out.
Actually, it was his uncle. Wow. One draws sex criminals.
That would have been mentioned at some point in the last...
Do you think?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Anyway.
Might be wrong.
Anyway, that's by the by. So we get to meet, his captain, who's played by Jeffrey Rush. Of course, now I know him from all of the...
Lewis, not Jeffrey...
Jeffrey Lewis, sorry,
the guy
Jeffrey Rush.
from Shine.
Shine. Yeah. Jeffrey Lewis, apologies. Because I know him from all of the Every Which Way films with Clint Eastwood, mostly.
And I know him from Hard Target. Not Hard Target. See, now I'm doing it. What is wrong with us tonight? Double Impact.
Double Impact.
Yes, back in the day when you filmed Twins, you could still see the lines in the middle of the screen.
Oh, God. Bad. Very bad. But yes, so Ray shows how tough he is by, proving that he knows what he's doing, and it's snowing, and it's cheesy one-liners.
It's very cheesy, and the cheesiest intro theme I think I've ever heard. But it's just weird, the local cops are like, he thinks he's Rambo. No, Rambo's a pussy.
Yeah, that was really weird, because I was there going...
It's very meta.
Well, yeah, it's very meta, given that you are Rambo, and he's a fictional character, and you're a fictional character in a fictional film.
So we've seen the we've seen the Sly and Arnie in their films taking the mickey out of each other's characters.
Yeah.
But not of them their own character. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Take you out of the film a little bit.
Yeah, there's a few moments like that in this. Anyway, but I thought so we've had the intro to him, and I thought we'd go straight to Cash, but we don't. We get to see Jack Palance talking all the time and posing like James T. Kirk, going on and on with his bloody yap.
James Hong is with him?
Yes, another guy, I can't remember.
Yes, I don't remember Jack Palance being quite as cheesy as I now realise he was.
It's true. You see, you're doing it. You don't even realise you're doing it. You're doing it. You're talking like him, posing all the time.
Bags of action of bags.
Stop it. Yes, so we get to see basically that Tango and Cash are a problem for him. He's some sort of super boss that no one knows about, which I'd forgotten. I thought that everyone knew that he was like a super king.
They don't even know he is until at the end, really.
It's almost like, well, who the fuck are you?
The amount of one-liners as well that they throw at you in the first few minutes, it's almost like, just to let you know the tone of this film. Mm-hmm. Like nice of you to drop in when they fall out the lorry. The film tries very hard.
Very hard. Too hard.
Yeah.
Too hard. Yeah.
That's the other thing I noticed as well. I don't know why it was an 18, although I recorded it off TV, so it could be that I missed some bits. But this is like, nowadays, even a 15 is kind of a kiss of death for a film, and people are going for younger audiences. But to have a star vehicle film that's an 18 just goes to show what time it was.
I think going for an 18 now can actually help a film if it's an action film, and if you go lower, it hurts it. Just look at the Expendables 3.
True, but no, I don't. Yeah, true.
Stallone's turned around and said, "Yeah, we shouldn't have done that." I'm thinking, well, we know. Imagine making Dredd a 12. That would have it would have crippled the film. As it turns out, it didn't do well for other reasons. But so making this an 18. There's a few reasons. There's the language, there's the boobs, although that probably they get away with a 15.
I think this would be a 15 now, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, so we meet Cash by comparison, who's the opposite, of course. He's not living in a trailer, though, which is...
But he's very Jack Burton.
Yes,
really.
He's very...
His car
he's got his gun boots, which are wicked. Yes. I love them. Never get tired of them.
I think there's three films in a row where his boots have been a feature. And then what I quite like is there's rivalry between him and Tango, but we'll come on later to the smoking. But the other thing that this film was obviously a pre-internet age where newspapers are used an awful lot as a plot device. There's lots of scene transitions where let's see what happens in the newspaper. So he sees the Tango, which he calls Armani with a badge.
Cash. Oh, yes, you're right.
Yes,
you're right. Tango,
Cash sees Tango, and he's kind of, so he's like, there is a rivalry. These two cops from two different sides of the city, and they both want to be the best cop in the city.
Yeah. So they're both doing similar things, and both kind of star cops, as we've seen from.
But I think I quite like that, because usually it's like two cops thrown together who've never met, and this is like two cops, maybe they haven't met, but they know each other by reputation. So that's one of the bits I quite liked.
Yeah. So we see the other side of his life, that despite the fact that he's a slob and despite the fact that he lives in a shitty apartment in the middle of nowhere, he's actually still good at what he does.
Yes.
So
quite quickly as well.
Well, yes, this guy tries to kill him. They have a massive chase.
Played by Philip Tan, who's another of our stuntman turned action actors that we like to name check.
Yeah, you don't forget Sven Lily Thornton. Although he's not in this, but there is. I've got a mention of him later on, so don't worry.
I've got no Babylon 5, so I know what to do now.
Oh, I've got another one of those.
Oh, perfect. Here we are. The format continues.
Absolutely. So that is this chase, right? Here's the first moment I knew one of the reasons it was either going to be a 15 or an 18. So they have this chase, through a parking garage and these bumping cars, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, it cuts. This couple having sex in the car. Yeah. This woman just sits up. I'm like, oh, hello, and there's a pair of breasts straight away. I was thinking, right, okay.
I think as well, 1989 and 18, and that was about probably 7-8 minutes in. There was probably a threshold of it's like set your scene, get all the characters, get them to understand it by 10 minutes. I'm sure there's also probably a topless lady, 10 minutes. That's
We've had people shooting. We've had a car chase.
All we need now is some cheesy lines and a comedy Russian.
Yeah, well, I think don't we get that later? We get comedy English.
We get comedy Russian in a second, who I think is the director.
Oh God, and a comedy Englishman.
Oh God, yeah. We'll come on to Dick Van Dyke and his ponytail.
Yeah, oh blimey, God. Anyway.
That's a load of books. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So we meet a very young Teri Hatcher.
We do.
Wow,
we do.
I've got to say, watching her in this. What?
I thought you were saying ding dong this.
Well, ding dong. You've got a bit of Dick Van Dyke now. Watching her in this, and then remember the fond memories of watching her in Lois and Clark, which I love. I'm just saying. And then she reappeared in the television a few years ago on, was it Desperate Housewives?
Yes.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
There was a film I saw in as well with Eric Roberts. I can't remember what it was called.
Did he cry in it?
I don't think he did, but I think he should have done.
Wow. Well, it's not worth watching then. Anyway, so yes, she appears and she's incredibly young.
Yes.
And here's the thing I don't understand: how come he's got a stockbroker and money and all the rest of it? Why is Tango loaded?
Well, he doesn't do the job for the money, Stephen. He does it for the action. That's a strange thing. He goes, you've got all this money. Why do you still do the job? I don't do it for the money. I do it for the action, which is a really weird thing, or something you expect to come back to later. But no, it's. But so she's going to go on a dance tour. He's the overprotective big brother,
this doesn't make sense. This is a massive.
She never goes. Or she comes back very quickly.
She never goes.
No.
I suspect she was lying to go and do something else, except that he later points out exactly where she is, which we'll come on to, which doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
But anyway.
So at this point, Cash has beaten up the Chinese guy and arrested him that was in his apartment.
Yes.
Made a little joke with a comedy Russian. And while we've seen that Tango is a very overprotective brother, stopping his sister from going away. Although the way she's dressed, I can see why. And then we see Cash in...
You're being such a dad right now.
Then you can see Cash in the elevator with his... I thought this was quite a cool scene because he's got his bulletproof vest on.
Yes.
And it's all fine, and very kind of full of bravado. But I got here, we've got one man is rough with long hair and cheaper clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And he realises
he was complaining about his $9 shirt.
Yeah. And it's quite an interesting little bit here that he noticed that someone had shifted the sights on his gun.
Yes, which at first I'd forgotten. I just thought, well, yeah, so what? What does that mean? And then we'll come on to find out why.
And do you recognise his captain?
No.
Eddie Bunker from Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, right. Okay.
Also looking relatively young.
Is he dead?
I don't think so. He seemed to be.
Let's look it up. What's wrong?
Bags of death.
Death.
I don't think.
Anyway.
I don't feel bad now if he is.
Oof. Let's have a quick look. Edward Bunker.
Yeah, he's been dead for 10 years.
He died in 2005, yeah.
Oh, sad.
There you go. Wow, we're doing a good collection.
What a way to find out. Well, hang on. Died in 2005. His last film was in 2010.
Yeah. We had 2 films. One in 2006 and then one in 2010, after his death.
He's Mr. Blue in Reservoir Dogs, that's it.
Mr. Blue. God.
And he was in Running Man as Lenny.
Alright. Okay, he's in Best of the Best 2, apparently. As a spotlight operator.
Which we still haven't covered.
Oh well.
Now him and Chris Penn look reunited.
Oh, brilliant. Yay. Anyway, so we get more of Jack Palance, lots of props, lots of him chewing the furniture, lots of him going on about a mice in a maze. And then we meet the Englishman, though he doesn't say anything at this point, actually.
No.
He just stands there looking very menacing, which works. And do you recognise the actor, of course?
Brian James?
Yes, and what have we seen him in that we reviewed not long ago?
Gosh, I don't know, no.
He was Slick in Red Heat. So when he takes him to the police station and you put the dog in pocket, you know, he says to him, he's his informant.
Blade Runner, Fifth Element. He's been in an awful lot of films.
Done a lot of films. So anyway, I was looking at this. I was looking at the year, and when I started looking at Brian James and working out what else he'd been in. So this was 1989 for Kurt Russell, and I started thinking about, well, what was he doing just before then, and what was he doing just after then? So before then, he's done Big Trouble in Little China. He'd already done, Escape from New York and The Thing for John Carpenter. So he'd done quite a few things. And then he did a bit of a diversion. He went and did Overboard, but that was a film with his wife. It was kind of a comedy thing.
Yeah.
Then he came back and did Tequila Sunrise, which is another sort of action film with Mel Gibson. And then he did the Tango and Cash. And then afterwards, it's almost like it went up a few notches. And I think Backdraft was the next film he did after this.
Unlawful Entry, which is a film I really liked at the time.
And then one of my favourite films ever
Captain Ron.
In 1993, Tombstone.
Oh, okay.
What Captain Ron? Yes. What is it? I've not seen it.
It's a comedy, I think, about it's a bit of another. It's laying it together again. I think
he's got Martin Short in it. That's all you need to know. Anyway.
Oh, come on, you can't. There's 3 Fugitives and Martin Short. I won't think bad thing against that film.
3 Amigos.
No, and 3 Amigos, but 3 Fugitives. Him and Nick Nolte.
Oh God. Anyway, so he did Tombstone and Forrest Gump and then Stargate and Executive Decision, and the films go on and on and on from then. They just get bigger and bigger, and he's just done tons of stuff.
In the Sky, completely forgot that.
I've not seen that. Any good?
Yeah, it's good. I like it. I know a lot of people hate it, but I actually like it.
Okay, all right. Which also got me thinking about Stallone. I was thinking, well, what do people rate his top films as? And look, IMDb have got their top, the best and worst of Sylvester Stallone. See if you agree with this.
Okay.
So number 1, this is the best to worst. Rocky.
Yep.
Number 2, Rocky 2. And then number 3, Rocky Balboa. Number 4 is Cliffhanger. Number 5 is Demolition Man, your favourite.
I think Demolition Man's really good. Cliffhanger's far too high up that list for me. And where's Copland?
Well, 6 is First Blood, which I only watched again last week. And then 7 is First Blood Part 2. And then 8 is Rambo. Now,
where's Cobra?
Way down the list. Copland's 10. Expendables is 11.
And Expendables.
Cobra's 16. It's way down there. So when was the last time you saw First Blood?
It's got to be a few years ago. Yeah. No.
So I'd forgotten a lot of it. I think I got it mixed up with the other Rambo films.
Okay.
So this is the one where he comes home and there is no war. There is nothing. Just the sheriff is a bit of a dick. And then he runs off into the woods and they hunt him, and he doesn't kill anyone, really. He kills one guy, but only because he threw a stone at a helicopter. The helicopter wobbled and the guy fell out. And that was kind of it. And then he's arrested. And I was so disappointed. I just thought, I forgot. I understand why it was made. All about, I think
it's based on a novel, isn't it? Actually,
yes. I mean, from a non-violent bags of action standpoint, if I can do such a thing on this podcast, you can understand why that the Vietnam vet comes home and there's no war. There's nothing going on. He doesn't know how to fit in. People don't like him. He's a drifter. He's not rewarded. And that, because he has a complete meltdown at the end on Troutman, and that's kind of quite depressing and a bit sad and a bit sort of touching. And then when you get to Rambo First Blood Part 2, that was a film. That was an action film that we could easily do on Bags of Action. It was epic. It's a 4, possibly even a 5 bagger, I'd say.
It's been a long time since I saw the second one.
So he starts in prison, very quickly. He starts in prison. Troutman comes and says, I need you to go back into Vietnam.
Yeah.
It's only 96 minutes, which I didn't realise. It's so tight. It's so lean. It's got your favourite in, Sven Ollie Thornton.
Right.
As a prison guard.
You see, IMDb gives First Blood a 7.7, but gives Rambo First Blood Part 2 a 6.4.
Nah, you see, I disagree.
But I think that's one of the early things of going, we made a film, let's make a franchise, really. Because when the second one came out, I can remember very clearly circling in the Argos book at Christmas the Rambo action figures that were aimed at kids. And there was a Rambo cartoon.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm sure we've talked before about how many people Rambo killed over the whole series. Mm-hmm. And I'm not convinced there should have been action figures for kids.
Not really.
Or a cartoon.
No. But the second one was much better. And it had someone from Babylon 5 in.
You see, but I don't see... maybe it is. Maybe from a Bags of Action point. But I remember at the time thinking, I watched this kind of heartfelt film about this veteran. And then watched the second one and gone, why? Why has he gone back? What's he playing as? Doesn't make any sense. But again, a bit like Rocky Balboa kind of bringing that, like the latest Rambo film kind of makes that all work. Although they are making another one, so who knows. I think Rambo and the Forces of Freedom, that was the cartoon.
Oh God, I don't even saw that. Ugh. Terrible. But anyway, so the list on IMDb, I don't know. I think I'd have to work hard to come up with my list of best.
I don't think it would be the one that you've just read out.
No, the order would probably get rejigged a bit. But I start then, thinking about the best Kurt Russell films, and Tango and Cash isn't one of them.
Gosh,
I'm honest.
Jumping ahead here.
Well, I'm not saying the film itself is bad. I'm just saying it's not a good.
He's very much the second fiddle.
Oh yeah, this is a Stallone vehicle.
Really.
But anyway.
But having said that, I'm going to go back a step to a scene that I really like in this film, which is a scene with the guy in the toilet and the chair. So the guy that broke into his house apparently doesn't speak any English. And they won't let him interview him. So he just happens to wander into the very large toilet while the guy is going to the toilet, and then proceeds to push him to the ground and put a chair on his throat and sit on it and rock it back and forth. So it's, again, you wouldn't get this in a film today. So the chair is pushing on his throat, and then he gets him to speak English and also give him the address, which is a key plot point.
Yes. Another key plot point is the captain.
Yeah, but seconds later gives, and it's really, I thought, it's like, that was really hammered home. You kind of know what's coming because...
Yes.
I can't remember the address, let's say, I don't know what it was, but yeah, the address that was given by him, 20 seconds later, a phone tap throws up exactly the same address to Jeffrey Lewis to give to Mr. Stallone.
Yeah. And straight away you're like, okay, right, I see where this is going. But yes, so basically they kept saying to Jack Palance, why don't you kill them, why don't you just kill them? And he was saying, no, they're already heroes. If we kill them, they will make them martyrs.
I want to play a game that only we can win. That's weird. I want to play a game only we can win. So it's not really a game, is it?
Is it hide and seek?
I don't know. It's like, Cash has cost me 60 million and Tango has cost me even more. It's very, to me, this is one of the most moustache-twirling villains I've ever seen on camera. Because, I don't know if you... Obviously, it reminded me of comics, and not necessarily in a good way. You know, in kind of... I'm trying to think of certain things. Quite a lot in Marvel comics, you'll get a situation where one of the... Like, someone like the Kingpin or Norman Osborn or Hammerhead or somebody that's a kind of mob boss at the time will get all the other mob bosses together and they kind of join forces or something. It just felt a bit like that because it's this guy, this shadowy figure that does the kind of almost old school James Bond kind of, I won't just kill them, I'll do something weird and random. Look, these mice are Tango and Cash thing. It's very, I think this film isn't particularly grounded. I think it's less grounded as it goes on, but at this point, apart from that Rambo line, it could have been a grounded film, relatively speaking. Because Lethal Weapon is kind of grounded, but they do play it for laughs occasionally. But this is kind of, it's a very OTT performance.
It is.
And I don't think in a good way.
No, it's a bit silly at times, and almost camp, but not quite. So yes, they both go to this location. They're both framed for killing a guy and doing a drug deal, and they find his gun, Cash's gun.
They've done quite a good job of setting them up, I have to say.
I think so. Yeah. Brian James turns up and switches the tape for a dodgy tape using his dodgy accent. Oh, he's also passed away, you know. Brian James died in 1999, age 54. So that's another tick in the death box for this episode. It's like the fourth person so far.
It just goes to show how old the films are.
Maybe.
No, that wasn't much of an age, is it? You just said that.
No. So, between Jeffrey Lewis and Brian James and Eddie Bunker and Chip Zdaar and Jack Palance, that's 5.
Oh my God, I was about to say Michael Jetter's in it next, and he died in 2003. This film's a curse. It's like The Exorcist or something.
It's like the Superman film curse.
And Michael Jeter, of course, is from one of your favourite films.
Green Mile. Yeah. Anyway, so they both get framed.
Bags of misery.
Bags of misery. So back to the joy that they get sent to court. They get very damning evidence. Michael Jeter plays an expert who looks at the tape and listens to it and says he authenticates it's not been tampered with, it's real, that's it. And they go into an attempt to put a plea bargain in.
18 months country club.
Well, they say country club. It was at minimum security prison. And inevitably something goes wrong.
I don't really understand why they would take a deal.
Yeah, why they would plead guilty. Maybe they just think they can get out and in 18 months clear their name again or something.
There's a little moment that works okay here where like Tango is kind of gives almost like a proper lawyer's kind of summing up, and then just gets all gung-ho.
I love it though. You expect it. He starts out very eloquently saying, I'm not as good, well-spoken as he is, but I would like to say, Your Honour, this is all, and he says something like, all bullshit or something. And everyone thought, and they applaud him.
Yeah.
And I thought,
that's what would happen.
Yeah, absolutely, cool. Yes, so they get sent to a maximum security prison.
Well, yes, it's meant to be minimum security, but someone within the prison system has switched it. We never quite find out who, but they've got contacts. You can buy it. They get the feeling that you can buy anyone off in this film if you've got enough money.
Pretty much.
And then it says they may never get out, which I never quite understood.
And then we get a comedy scene,
a naked comedy scene.
So we get to see their naked bottoms, both of them, as they go towards the shower room. I like the way he says, "Cash, what? You stop holding your stomach."
And he goes, I say, don't flatter yourself, Pee-wee.
That's right, because what are you doing? He goes, hang on a minute, soap, and don't flatter yourself, Pee-wee. And he goes, oh, whatever you say, Minnie Mouse. And it's got that kind of, that Spider-Man thing where if they're nervous, they start arguing and banter and comedy to deflect. And that's what they do throughout this film. This was the first time they kind of do it.
And so then they told him cops are never put in general population. Oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. Oh, they are. So they walk down, and this is kind of very over-the-top scene. They walk through Gen Pop, and there are flames everywhere, and toilet rollers thrown at them. Mm-hmm. And then Robert Zdaar, the late Robert Zdaar, sees them, and there is this moment you alluded to here where Sly turns around and goes, I loved you in Conan the Barbarian, which I thought was a nice thing at Arnie.
Yes, which is hilarious. So they get put in general population. One's with a giant black farty man.
And one's with Ron Howard's brother from Gentle Ben.
Yes, who's a crazy dude. Well, allegedly crazy
with a slinky.
Yeah. Yes.
Cute comedy slinky tying up.
He just strings it around his head and ties him to the bed with his own slinky, which I thought was hilarious. You just hear this rustling, and it pans back up, and he's there tied to the bed with it. Hilarious stuff. And of course, they're grabbed in the middle of the night and taken down to the basement where they're thrown down the laundry chutes. That's right.
Yeah. And then the most ridiculous part of this film, in my opinion, is
definitely.
We've got them in prison. They are banged to rights. They will probably never escape. We have got the problem the villain has been solved. And in 2 weeks' time, I think their biggest ever weapon shipment is coming, isn't it? That's why they want them taken away for these 2 weeks, the key 2 weeks. They're inside for 18 months, and they could well stay in this dodgy prison forever. However, because I'm a villain in an over-the-top film, I am going to reveal myself, introduce myself in the prison, and watch them being tortured. Why? Why?
He doesn't name himself.
What?
He does stand in the shadows, but we also kind of like thinking, why would you? I was thinking, why would you go?
Stay in your house with your little mice.
You've got video cameras. We've seen how high tech you are. Yeah. Send your mate with a video camera. The old Englishman, Governor, mate.
That's the other thing. At this point, up to now, Brian James, he's quite a menacing guy, and he hasn't said a word. And I put here, Chim Chimney. Because it's just like, we're going to hurt you. It's awful. It's truly, truly awful.
The other bad thing about this scene is they get Kurt Russell to do the lethal weapon over the top, ranty, angry, mad thing. Yep. And it doesn't work. Not really,
because his character hasn't really been established as that.
No, and he says, "What are you doing? Buying time? What for? I don't know."
Fubar. He says Fubar at some point. He says it again later, but I never quite got that either. And then Robert Zadar is the main person sent over to fight them. And this is one of the classic. I don't know if you've. Is it Loaded Weapon 1? That's the spoof with Samuel Jackson and Emilio Estevez.
Right.
And they have a scene in that, I think, where they stand there and different people run up one by one to fight them, like in a queue. Right. That's what this is like. It's that kind of like when they pull back the camera, there must be 50 men about to fight these two. Yeah. Now, eventually they do get overpowered, but initially they are fighting like two at a time.
It's true. Yeah. They're taking them on and winning.
Yes. The Cash does a slide, punches someone in the nuts, and then grabs a baseball bat, and then Tango starts using the laundry machines. It's an inventive little scrap.
Through things. Yeah. It's a bit. Well, I don't say ridiculous, but it was.
Ridiculous. And then they're both tied up, and again, another kind of homage to a film from 2 years before. It's a very Lethal Weapon-esque scene where they're tied up and hung over water. But again, it's like, we get the feeling they're going to try and kill them, but we know they're not going to kill them because they've already told us they're not going to kill them.
Yeah.
So they're tied with chains and they're lowered into water. You do get the first time where you start seeing the friendship, which I never quite bought that they became friends, by the way, because with buddy cop films, usually we've got our differences and over time they get better. In this film, the differences were so contrived that I never actually really believed they even knew each other by the end. So it's just random. So these kind of worried about each other. But is it? If it's meant to be a game to keep them away, why does it feel like it's actually revenge?
Yeah. So they just sort of they electrocute them and torture them, and I was thinking, right, so they've lost. Yeah. They're in prison. They've been framed. Now they're being tortured.
So the guards rush in and stop it, which is all very convenient. And it's a friend of Cash's who is, I guess, I don't know what he is.
He's the deputy warden.
Right, okay. And he advises them to escape. Everyone in the police force is corrupt. You should leave. And gives them a plan. Now, I just think, if you could get a more passive pair of heroes, I'm not sure what they are. So it's like a turning point in the film, because they are going to try and escape from the prison. But the only reason they can do it is because another character arrived and gave them a plan. So, how would they have got out otherwise? They probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
And the film would have been 18 months long.
And then they get out, and then things changed.
Yes,
I don't. Yes.
He gives him a blueprint of the ventilation shafts and says he'll turn the system off.
Yeah, so when the fans get it turned off, they can use that to escape and the rest of it. And it sounds far too easy. And of course, Tango doesn't like anybody or trust anybody, so he doesn't trust the guy. Cash trusts him because he's his old boss, and he's like, look, it's fine. And of course, it's not fine. He goes and gets caught, and they roll the dead body of his friend down towards him, having been shot. Oh, no, sorry, he's had his throat slit ear to ear. Poor blimey, Gavner, stop.
By ponytail.
Yeah, ponytail, as they call him.
Yes.
We don't know his name, do we? Until later on.
No.
I can't remember what his character's name is, full stop, actually. Rakeen, that's it. Rakeen. God, of course. Anyway, so we find that out later on. But so it's all gone wrong, and Cash is in trouble, and the guards are closing in with Conan for some reason, which I didn't quite understand why.
No, he's helping them. Yeah, it's weird. And then there's a two giant fans moment.
Yes, and Ray Tango turns up
with a metal pole
to heroically save him, and they attempt to escape. Now, they run onto the roof, and they've got to jump across this thing and slide down on the zip wire. And
I remember, when I look back on this film, because I hadn't seen it for a while, I was like, that's the film with the cool zip wire bit. And then I watched it and went, that's the film with the lame zip wire bit.
To be fair, the shot but just before this, you know, a bit where they run and jump off the roof, and then the rain's coming down. Cool. That's actually a really cool shot. And I thought, wow, I'd forgotten about that. That's really good. And then he slides down the zip wire and escapes. And then Conan comes out and fights Ray, and until he grabs it. Let's just explain.
Time with the chain. There's a good little fight there. And he catches it. He's got the chain around his leg, and Cash has fallen to the ground from quite a long way, but is okay. So, and there's a little bit of kind of he waits for him as well, which you think maybe he wouldn't wait for it. Maybe, at least it shows he actually cares a little bit. So, and he pulls the chains off of Zadar, who I'm sure has got a character name, who then falls into this pile and fries. And this shows how the tone has changed, because he doesn't make any joke. There's no one-liner there. He just looks at it.
Yes, he doesn't say buzz off or something.
Yes.
Or fried Conan.
Nice.
Something. He just goes. Just gets on a zip line and off they go.
There's always a spark between us. No, exactly. That took me quite a long time. You could break in the cogs turning then. So they decide to split up once Tango has made it down the zip wire with his belt, as you do. And he's like, I'm going to give you the address of the club that my sister works at. And I did what you did, which was, isn't she meant to be on tour? But
sorry, I've just realised I've written down fried chip.
Fried, nice. See, that's what you should Starsky.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway.
Nice.
Looking at my notes.
That works.
That's what I've written down.
That works.
Yeah, if it doesn't, it doesn't. Anyway. Yes, so he says if you get in trouble, go and find my sister at this club.
Yes.
I was thinking, so if you know your sister's gone on tour for a month, you've sent him no help at all. Yeah. You're a bit of a dick, really, aren't you?
And this is where the film started to lose me.
Right, okay.
Because I've written this when I was about 13. The baddies know where Tango and Cash are out. But so Cash walks into a place to try out some special weapons.
But who's the guy? Who's the genius inventor?
I recognise him.
Yes.
Go on, I don't know.
The actor is called Michael J. Pollard. He is still alive, I'm happy to say.
Hooray! Someone in this film is still alive.
Hooray! But he's from one of our earlier films as part of the Patrick Swayze trilogy.
Is in... No. Roadhouse?
No. He was in Next of Kin as the owner of the hotel thing.
Yes, of course he was.
He's a weird little guy in that.
And he plays a weird little guy in this. But you get the feeling, and I don't know, when we talk at the end, maybe the director of this film was fired while it was being made, and it was finished by someone.
What?
Yeah. Andrei Konchalowski, who I don't think did another Hollywood film again, was replaced by uncredited guy called Albert Magnoli at some point during the film. I don't know whether it was during shooting or during the edit, but to me, this suggests that at some point in the start of this film, you were supposed to see this character and establish this relationship, but they decided to cut it, and because now it feels like one of the most random things in action cinema history. It's like, I'm going to go and check out
the only clue is the boots.
It's like, okay, so is this a James Bond film with a comedy Rottweiler? I don't understand.
The only clue is actually the gun boots. Yeah, but that's not been obvious. He just sort of says, how are the boots working out for you? Oh, those are great. I'm thinking, well, we've had one reference to them, but nothing else. You're right. It's like there's a missing scene where he went and saw him and said, I want a new set of boots, or can I have a new vest this one's got shot up or something.
It's just odd. I put it, this has gone comedy again, another big shift in tone. This is a poor man's Lethal Weapon.
Yeah. Anyway.
So Cash finds the guy who set him up, and the guy's going to leave. The guy who was one of the people who testified, his car blows up, and then Tango goes to Michael Jetter's lab. We're calling everyone by their actor names, because it's easier. And then shoots him with a shotgun.
Well, no, he doesn't. He shoots all of his equipment.
Oh, he shoots equipment, that's right, yes, because he's such a nerd that he's so into his work that he would be very upset if you shot his machines.
But I do like the idea of the fact that he was the expert that got in to authenticate his own tape that he put together. And he sort of smiles. He's like, so he basically, he doesn't kill him though. No. He just shoots his equipment. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. That's okay.
But he gives him the original, I think, or something, doesn't he?
Yes, he's got that. And then Cash turns up at the bar where Catherine.
He's looking for Catherine.
And did you notice what the song was? What the band was playing to show that it was 1989. That when she comes out in her silver outfit, it's Yazoo.
Ah, yes, Yazoo. Yes.
And my favourite bit is when she does some bad drumming, which sounds like the theme to Pigeon Street. It's not. I don't know about you, but I don't know that scene was not particularly erotic.
It's not even that. It's normal drums, though, wasn't it? It was
proper electric 80s drum, hence the Pigeon Street sound.
But this is what I don't get, right? It's a strip club.
Yeah, it's a pretty tame one, but yes.
She doesn't do any stripping.
I think it's a contractual thing. She does a bit. She takes her jacket off. I think maybe I don't know. You just. Yeah, and again, it's, the leading lady goes into the changing rooms clothed, but all the people you've never heard of are all standing around topless. Yeah. And
then he distracts the cop so he can...
And then we can get even the second stupidest scene of the film.
Go on.
So, they need to leave. The police have turned up. He's found Teri Atcher.
Yes.
She knows, who he is. I guess because he's been in the paper. And he sees a guy, the only guy in the changing rooms, who's wearing biker gear and goes, what size are you? And you think, he's going to borrow his biker gear. But there's a double trick here, because walking out, biker gear, they tap on the shoulder and you think it's him, throws the hair down, could still be him. No, it's Catherine. But where is he? Oh, of course, he's dressed as a lady.
Lynn, she says, Lynn, come on. And then it does the panning shot, which you get with women in a lot of films.
The least feminine chin this side of Kirk
But this is a proper... Have you seen Tu Wong Fu?
Yes, yeah.
This is a proper Tu Wong Fu moment where it pans up a pair of legs in tights and a dress and then a chest, and then you get to the face and it's like... Oh my God.
And I like the fact, this again very 80s, is that the police guy's trying to hit on him. And he flicks a cigarette at him, and it's just, and you think, if you're dressed as a woman trying to get away from the police, and you look that unlike a woman, you'd want to be seen very briefly and leave. You wouldn't be pulling your sunglasses down and kind of giving him a look.
Giving him the finger. I think the guy says, Dykes on bikes, Captain. What about that? And he asks them for a three-way, one of the cops, in front of his captain. This is the man, right, that's just got told off for looking at the dancers and not doing his job, and now he's asked them for a three-way in front of his captain.
I think in 1989 he may have gone on to get a commendation.
Purple Heart, Silver Star, and became a cop and got accommodation.
And then we are back at her apartment. Hang on a moment. Those are his cowboy boots. That's a bra, which could be his or hers, in fact.
Probably hers. His actually,
and some shoes. Mm-hmm. Are they getting it on? No, she's just giving him a massage for his bad back. Why are we in the gutter? Why are we thinking that way?
Because we have to have a proper Austin Powers moment now.
We do. This whole sequence is very Austin Powers.
I just looked away. So someone turns up the door. Ray's snuck in to come and see his sister. And he sees someone through the screen door. So he says, heads up, jumps over the couch, grabs the first thing, which is a wooden duck.
Yeah.
And then pins his captain and goes, nice to see you, Ray. Is this how you screen all your colleagues?
It's as well, because before this, because he's saying to her, do you love Ray? Yeah, I love him. And it's like, okay, she doesn't know that he's her brother. But then there's a bit after, you can hear like them saying things like harder, faster, deeper, more, and you think, oh, is that a massage? Are these massage terms? But then it's like, no, they're kind of pretending to have. I don't really know if they were pretending to have a sex. Was it a misunderstanding? Were they going to have sex? I didn't get that bit.
But that's the way he pins his captain. And then Cash comes out and goes, put down that duck. And there's a pause.
And then, because they've been to prison and they've had a very stressful time, the captain has a cigarette and then offers them both a smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, you've got 24 hours to find the guy who set you up. Here's the name and address. But I won't be able to keep them off your trail for more than 24 hours. Which feels like, I have a plot point. There is no justification for this plot point. But here's a plot point. Because why 24 hours? I don't understand.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
It's necessary for the film.
I don't think I've suspended enough of my disbelief.
No, but there's a comedy moment where basically that Ray is asking his sister if he's had sex with. He calls what does he call her? He calls Cash a few unpleasant things. Something to do with him wearing a dress still, and half man, half ape or something. He makes some derogatory terms about him. But he says, well, I'm gonna date your sister. He's like, I'm over my dead body. Well, that can be arranged.
And they go off to Ponytail's house, apartment. There's an Uzi now. So obviously, it's the late 80s. You have to have an Uzi. And so they hang him upside down from the roof, holding him by his feet.
Oh, and then we get awful comedy.
Piss off, bollocks to plan A. I love it up here.
I like it. Yeah, I like it up here. Yeah.
So they move on to plan B, which is to tie him up and put a grenade in his mouth with gaffer tape. And they do. I quite like the good cop, bad cop, but I would have done it the other way round.
Given that we've already seen Cash go a bit mental, it makes more sense.
You don't really believe Tango is loco.
No, because if he's the uptight straight one and the other one's the loose cannon cop, it would make more sense.
Yeah, exactly. All I can think at this point, though, is if they'd made Marvel films in 1989, that Sly would have been quite a good Tony Stark to Kurt Russell's Thor.
You were obviously bored whilst watching this film.
I did. It felt like it. I don't know. I thought that. Imagine that.
Kurt Russell's Thor.
Yeah, he got hair.
Well, they did kind of do Daredevil on television with the old Incredible Hulk.
That's true.
And Thor on television with Hulk, which I'd forgotten about. Oh, God. But actually, the Daredevil one was quite good. To be fair, to the old TV.
Swayze could have been Iron Fist. It could have been great.
I don't know. Who would you get as Luke Cage back then?
1989.
Carl Weathers?
Probably would have been Carl Weathers. I want a time machine now.
Guys, got a great idea for a film. Called Marvel's Avengers, right? What? Trust me, it'll work. It'll work.
What was the last Marvel film? It was called Howard the Duck. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. So they're going to pull the pin on the grenade that's in his mouth, and he goes, Mr. Perrott. Is it Perrott? He's the governor.
Perrott. Yeah. Perrott.
He's the governor. Oh, chimney. So he fell for the good cop, bad cop, and then
bad cop, worst cop.
Yes, my sister. Actually, he doesn't do that in this film. In fairness to him, did you?
No.
Did you sleep with my sister?
And he's just not telling you.
And then you get they jump the shark with the RV, with the weapons and the bulletproof craziness.
Yes, they go and see their weird little friend who gives them a supersized RV with machine guns.
But we know again at this time, monster trucks were huge. 1989, okay, monster trucks were massive. I think for Christmas that year, I had an imported hardback book which was just pictures of monster trucks.
Wow!
Because I was well into them. You got to think this was out, which has they go on to fight against monster trucks, and obviously the same year Patrick Swayze was off making Roadhouse, which features a monster truck. So 1989, the year of the monster truck movie.
So it seems. Wow.
So then we get a little quiet moment, which again doesn't ring true, where Tango says, "You're the best cop I've ever worked with." And Cash says, "I am going to date your sister, you know. I know, but I wouldn't want you to die and you to come home. I wouldn't want her to get a phone call saying you're dead. But if I die..." It's weird. Weird, again. I will stay away until I get your blessing. You don't believe a word of what either of them are saying there.
No. So basically they found Peret's compound to assault it.
They are. They drive in through the fence, just so no one knows they're coming.
But he's watching, and he knows...
I've got fire, gunshots, mayhem, explosions.
And I've got Jack Palance going, "Tango and Cash, Cash and Cash."
I'm surprised he, at this point, didn't get Big Track out and put 2 mice in it. Driving up the wall.
He may as well have, because, yes, the whole of his compound is a giant maze, and there are the 2 mice in the maze again, which we've seen 4 times
again, they're bashing into each other, and then they climb out and get onto big diggers. And again, it's that age-old joke of the very James Bond indeed, which is, is everything okay? Yeah, it's fine. There's not a scratch on it, but it's absolutely destroyed.
And he says to their little mate, he says, "Oh, where did you... No, Tango says, where did you learn to drive?" And Cash says, "Stevie Wonder." Which is just about...
I don't think you can say that now.
Nope. No, but that's what he says. And I've put diggers ×2.
I don't remember that line. Either I was not paying attention at this point, or did you... how did you watch it? Obviously,
I've got DVD.
Okay, maybe that was... there's a couple of lines you said that I don't remember. The Dykes on Bikes line I don't think was in the TV version, and I don't think the Stevie Wonder line was either. So maybe I need to give it an extra bag for the bits I missed.
Yeah, so you've got Dykes on Bikes, you've got where you learn to drive Stevie Wonder. There's a couple of other ones that are sort of Winstat.
On the IMDb thing, where they kind of list off things this film includes: Dykes on Bikes, Stevie Wonder.
Mofos, you get quite a few mofos.
There were no mofos in my version.
There's about 4 or 5 mofos.
Oh, I've watched a 12.
You've watched the 12 version, you see? You've toned it down and you've made your own 12 version and reduced the bag count.
It's a bad thing. Maybe we have a rule of never watching something off telly.
You'll have to give it a +1 bag, I think. So anyway, they attack the compound. You've got giant diggers, and they go through the wall and shoot people, and there's explosions and fire and a monster truck.
Yep.
Which, did they blow up the monster truck? I can't even remember.
I think they do, all of them. And they break in, and the destruct sequence starts, and there's a countdown, which is another massive trope. They shoot through some glass walls in the door, and Cash pushes Tango to safety, and is nipped with a bullet.
Well, this is really crap, right? Because if every single man in the entire building was outside in the maze, the only ones left inside are Mr. Hong, who kills straight away, and the other guy, who I can't remember, who shoots them, and then they kill him straight away. And that's it. There's no one else in the whole building.
There's just Dick Van Dyke and Jack Palance left.
That's it, yeah. The old chimney sweep and Mary Poppins himself.
And this is really weird, because Jim Chimney is holding Catherine hostage.
Yep.
And he goes, "Right, I'm going to fight you now," just throws it to the side. Like, you've got a hostage. And
with a grenade strapped to her neck.
Yeah, but then you kind of move it to the... And also, this is another character I think pretty much must have been in it earlier. Now, do you remember back to when we saw Blind Fury? And they brought in, like, I've brought in Sho Kosugi, and it was... ninja kind of guy to fight a ninja. Here he goes, I've got someone who wants to fight you, and this martial artist guy walks in who we've never laid eyes on before.
I've just written Cash versus Rakim, Ray versus Mr. Karate.
Yeah, random.
Because random Mr. Karate just turns up. So it's just, I'm just like, wait, where did he come from? What? He's not been in any scene ever, and now he's here.
However, I have written down these are 2 good simultaneous fights.
They're pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Bad.
Yeah.
And then we get the Cash blows up ponytail because this time...
Parts Plan C. We didn't talk about that.
Exactly, which is...
Put a grenade down his pants. Although, that's instantly flawed, because surely he'd just roll out of his trouser leg and blow up Cash.
Not if he's wearing budgie smugglers.
Those who don't know what that means, just look it up. But yes, unless he actually put it in his underpants and not down his trousers.
I thought it was down his pants.
I don't know.
He's an English character, so he would have been confused.
Anyway, he put a grenade into his undergarments, kicked him down there.
And now, Jack Palance has taken Catherine into Enter the Dragon.
Yes. Very Enter the Dragon moment. He's in a house of mirrors. Yeah. Except it's a tiny room with mirrors.
And he's got a gun to her head.
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to do? You've got to shoot, but how do you know it's a mirror? What are you going to do?
Oh! Timing and guns and shooting.
Him in the head. But
Cash uses his gun boots again.
But they both had different reasons to know it was the right mirror.
But they both did like a double tap to the head. They were aiming for their kneecaps, allegedly. And they both shot him in the forehead.
And then, have you ever seen a YouTube thing called Cool People Never Look at Explosions?
No.
I think it's called that. That sounds really crap name and stuff. But we get one of those scenes next. Cool guys don't look at explosions. That's it.
Right.
Well, they do. The 3 of them walk out of the building, an explosion happens, and they just walk away.
No, they run.
They run away, okay. But they don't look at it. They don't look at the explosion.
No, they do. So, have you noticed there's certain films when Stallone runs, when he's just actually jogging along, they've gone they said, okay, Sly, run, and he just kind of poodles along.
Yeah.
And then there are other films where he absolutely starts pegging it, and to borrow a phrase from Barry and Babe, chipping.
Yeah.
In this, and in Rocky, but in this, he does some proper chipping. He's got that kind of thing, the way his body moves when he runs, full pelt.
Yeah.
So the 3 of them, and Stallone starts absolutely chipping it, and he's bombing away, and then the explosion goes off.
Far more convincing than any Steven Seagal run.
Well, he's too heavy to run. You have to put in a trolley.
Even before he was heavy, when we get onto Seagal films, him running is one of the funniest things you will ever see.
It's like out of that scene in Dumb and Dumber where he's pretending to run whilst being in a car. Yeah, I think he's on a trolley and someone's pushing him, and he just pumps his arms. I think that's his equivalent of running.
It is.
Anyway, Stallone absolutely bombs it, and they escape the explosion. They're safe. Hooray!
And they're still bickering.
Yes.
And watching it again, all I could think was, bless them all. Everyone at this point thought there'd be a sequel. Because it really feels like the buddy cop formula, isn't it? It's really get to know each other, end of the first film, second film, off we go. And then they hold hands, like all good action heroes do, and hold their hands up in the air, and that becomes a newspaper front page.
Like they just don't care.
Yeah. And then, for some reason, the song over the end credits, I listened to the lyrics to that song. I don't know if you did. But one of the lines was, I put my key inside your door. It feels so good. So maybe more happened in the prison than we're aware of.
Pee-wee. Wow.
I put my key inside your door. It feels so good. Sorry. I'm going to get my ringtone.
Ginger Predator. Let's go to that now. So, I've had a quick look at the box office mojo. Now, obviously, this was 1989. So, it doesn't actually have the budget for this. But, from what I can tell, it made $63 million domestic. So that's just, the US. It doesn't have anything for international, unfortunately.
It's also known as the setup.
Hmm.
Its budget was $55 million, and gross was $63 million.
But that's just America, you know.
Yeah.
So I suspect it did make its money and more internationally, but there was no sequel.
Okay, the difference between the two versions we watched, my version, according to this, would have been 7 minutes shorter. The heavily cut version is 97 minutes. The full version is 104.
Right. Okay. So you've missed a few bits that I've... mofos and jokes and inappropriate breasts. There's quite a few of those.
Apparently the theatrical trailer nearly features nearly all alternative versions of scenes that were cut in the edits.
Wow.
So different lines, different fight scenes. Yeah. How strange.
Yeah.
I'll have to find that as well.
Okay. Very weird. So that's the film. It's over. It's done. Freeze frame ending on the newspaper, but there's no sequel. So what went wrong? If it made its money, it did fairly well.
Yeah.
Where's the sequel?
Well, I don't know. I mean, say the fact that the director was fired doesn't bode that well.
No.
Maybe they didn't get on.
No.
Have they worked together again? Kurt Russell should have been in Expendables 3.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And it was written by Randy Feldman. I don't think it's Corey Feldman's dad. Who also wrote 2 films I've seen, which are Nowhere to Run and Metro. Have you seen Metro? Action film starring Eddie Murphy.
Remind me, what?
I think it involves a train. I mean, have a look. If not, it's just from 1997. But it's a completely played. It's an Eddie Murphy film. It's played straight. Michael Rappaport is in it.
No, don't remember that.
Donald Logue is in it. I saw it once at the time it came out. Hostage Negotiator. Catches a bank.
Oh yeah. No, I do remember it. You know, you're saying it. I do remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Anyway, so it something went wrong. Despite it making its money, they obviously didn't do another one for whatever reasons. If they had problems behind the scenes or.
I'm going to look at why no Tango and Cash sequel.
Why not?
Stallone and Russell, the 4 directors on the truly strange Tango and Cash.
Despite the troubled production, it was a moderate box office success, according to the interweb, so it must be true.
Kurt Russell turned down a part of the Expendables.
Oh.
Apparently, if you believe it.
The film also sold well on VHS. There you go. So, So it got lots of negative reviews for being brutally violent, dull, and cookie-cutter buddy cop thriller, apparently.
In 2010, there was the rumour mill that there would be a Tango and Cash 2 with them now.
Right.
Because he's obviously going back to all of his old franchises. Demolition Man would be my pick.
Anyway. Yazoo. So, right, do we want to try and give it a score?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come with me if you want to live. Shut up, you idiots! It's time to give a score! Do it! Do it now!
So you go first, since this was my choice. Go on.
Actually, I'm going to send you, we'll put this up on the thing, there is an article on Den of Geek about why this is such an odd film, and what the plot holes are, and why everything's in newspaper clippings, and the problems with the director and stuff, so we'll post that on there. Maybe once the show's been out for a little while, we'll put that on the group, along with the cool guys don't look at explosions. So, I think I liked this when I first saw it. I think I've seen bits of it since on TV and kind of liked it. It's got a very low score on like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, and I've always been like, really? Is it that bad? And then I thought, well, like you say, there is no sequel. Why is there no sequel? If you can get 4 Lethal Weapons and 44 Fast and Furious films, surely you'd make a second one of these. And then I watched it again. And I realised it doesn't quite fit together. It's lots of pieces. And it's I think that Den of Geek article says it's all the things you'd expect from an action film put together, but they never quite gel. And the main thing for a buddy cop film, if you compare this to Lethal Weapon, or if you compare it to Last Boy Scout, or 48 Hours, there's not really that much chemistry between the two leads, I don't think. Even though they're both good in it, I think. They're both quite funny and they're both quite affable. But I think maybe it's because they were both kind of leading men. And rather than one more known person and one less known, or one more comedy or one more straight, I don't know. But they almost cancel each other out. So maybe those extra 7 minutes would have swung me, but I was a little bit bored at times.
I can tell by something. So you went off.
I made myself a sandwich. I'm going to give this 2 bags.
Okay, all right.
I've had a run of films on a 3, and I think I can't just keep ploughing that middle furrow. So I thought, you know what? No, this is weaker than a lot of the films we've watched before. So I'm gonna, for the first time in a while, I'm gonna give it. Yeah, I've given it 2.
Okay, so I've watched this film lots and lots of times. It's one of these ones that I had. It's not, yeah, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll dig it out, and eventually found it and watched it, and I'd forgotten the jokes, and I'd forgotten some of the one-liners, and I'd forgotten some of the giant plot holes that when you're a kid and you first watch these things, you're not looking for them because you haven't seen nearly as many films. You're not thinking about them. You're just going along for the ride. But now I'm older and I'm watching this again. I'm thinking, okay, you can't do that these days. And you can't. So if the film's really good, I'm not doing that. I get drawn in and I'm not thinking about what you can and can't do and the lines and if it's a bad pun or not. You just take it as part of the film. But the whole thing of, oh, Rambo's a pussy, I thought, well, 5 minutes in, I was like, well, hang on, that was your character in another film and now you're the actor. What? That pulled me out. And then a few other times it just got so ridiculous with the governor and the Dick Van Dyke, the awful English accent. I'd like to say I enjoyed this quite a lot, but I really didn't. It was a lot worse than I remembered, which is quite disappointing, really, for me. I'm going to have to give it 2 bags as well.
Nominated for 3 Razzies, so we're not the only ones that think that.
As you said, same as you, there were other films that we given 3 bags, and I thought, this isn't as good. 3's not a bad score, but this just wasn't as good as some of the other films we've given 3 bags to. So I'm going to have to give it 2. Yeah, 2 bags.
I've just got here. Oh, no, I didn't even get that. You said about it before.
What's that?
Is this the way you screen all your guests? Because it is a screen.
Yes.
Yeah, Den of Geeks said it's the worst pun in Hollywood history.
I don't think I got that far, but it's pretty bad.
So, we definitely need to post. Once people have had a chance to listen to the episode, we should definitely post this article because, yeah, it picks out all the craziness.
Yeah, the fact that Jack Palance keeps sniffing mice and things. Right, so we're done. We're going to do something different for next episode, as promised.
Yes.
Have you seen Tango and Cash recently? What did you think?
I was about to say yes, but you knew that.
Not you,
oh, sorry.
them.
Sorry.
You out there. Hello, faithful listener. Let us know if you've seen Tango and Cash. Is it good? Is it bad? Fond memories? Bad memories? Kurt Russell in drag? Did it work for you? Let us know. Get in touch with us on Twitter @Bags of Action. It'd be great if you could leave us an iTunes review. We'd really appreciate that to help get the word out. That's it for us this episode. We'll be back. I think I'm going to go and lie down now and try not to think about this film.
We're going to tango off.
Good night, Pee-wee.
Nice. Please don't call me that. It's the last time I shower with you.
Minnie Mouse? No?
You have been listening to Bags of Action. No bullshit. You'd better stick around for the next episode, because if you're lying, I'll be back.